Before we go back into the courtroom, Mella Kaufman on cross-examination just admitted she never told the detectives in 2001 about the conversation she testified here to in court concerning Susan Berman's admission about Robert Durst. I'd like to introduce my other guest that's going to be joining Bob Hiller. That's Dr. Ziv Cohen. He is a licensed a licensed MD psychiatrist. He practices here in New York City. He is completely boarded. I can't even read you all of his credentials, but they're all here. And he also has his medical degree from Albert Einstein College of Medicine, which, of course, is the College of Medicine that Kathy Durst would have graduated for if she didn't go missing. Okay, so Dr. Cohen, we have some fascination here in the producer's room about Susan Berman, because she is fascinating. Does she have a personality disorder that you would consider from this testimony?
Yeah, I mean, I think you could be open to that kind of assessment. You know, we would want as many lines of evidence as possible and talking to as many people as possible. But, you know, some of the personality traits that we're hearing about her in terms of her being dominating and secretive and manipulative, those are things that you can see in what's called a cluster B personality disorder. And that's a personality disorder that where you can have narcissistic traits and also antisocial traits. You know, she was the daughter of a mobster, and she frequently spoke about how that, you know, influenced her and gave her a certain code of behavior. And so, but, you know, personality disorders are often influenced by your upbringing and your early influences. So I think that that's a useful line of inquiry when you're thinking about her, and when we hear some of the unusual things, you know, about the way she thought and the way she lived.
And indeed, the defense is going to try to use that to help them. I think it just shows that she could easily be Robert Durst's friend. Dr. Ziv Cohen, Mella Kaufman knows what she wants to say and doesn't back down, and yet this is also an interesting cross-examination. Tell me, what's the picture being painted of Susan Berman, and who does it help? Mr. Durst's side or the prosecution side?
I think it's ambiguous. I think it helps to some extent both sides, but I don't think it's a knockout punch. Certainly, that the you know, defense counsel is hitting against the prosecution, because what you have here is Mella Kaufman, and she's doing something really interesting that sometimes mental health experts do when they're fact witnesses. She's a fact witness in this case, but she also happens to be a therapist, and she shifts very easily between things, between her personal experience and between using professional terms to self-diagnose and to describe other situations. And so it gives her a little bit of elasticity, a little bit of a bounce in her step when she's trying to deal with this cross-examination, and gives her credibility. And I think that you know, the defense attorney, he has to be careful, because she could take him in a direction that would be hard for him to contend with. So I think that he is scoring some points when she describes Susan Berman as being manipulative and telling tall tales and so on. That definitely hurts the credibility of Susan Berman. But at the same time, she's speaking with, Mella Kaufman is speaking with a lot of conviction.
Thank you,
and
Dr.
her conviction is favorable for the prosecution.
And thank you, Dr. Cohen. Appreciate your insights. Bob Hiller, appreciate you being here for the whole 3 hours here in the Robert Durst case. Imran Ansari is going to take over this anchor seat next. We'll go back into the courtroom as soon as he's in this chair in the Robert Durst case. I would imagine there's going to be a long redirect of Mella Kaufman. She did talk about her relationship with her brother Sarab. She did talk about her father. She did talk about Susan. And she vaguely talked about Robert Durst, but said Susan said that she had placed a phone call for him. Was it a story or was it the truth? I'm Linda Kenny Bodden. I will see you next Tuesday at noon.